log in at least 47 times.
Now, the ethics panel says that, Dilip, 50 of these 61 questions were to promote the business interests of Darshan Hiranandani. I guess it is their deduction by a majority vote that raising questions about a business rival amounts to promoting the interests of Hiranandani. But I think Asif Bhamla has a very important question, the elephant in the room, and I'm going to take it to Sushmita as well after you. Had this been reversed, had this been a BJP member of parliament, and Gautam Mandari's office was posting the questions, how would the opposition have reacted? How would any of us have reacted? Mr. Chairman.
Good question, Barkha. And the opposition would certainly have at least attempted to howl, though, as you know, not much howling is heard today in parliament or outside. That's one. Secondly, I think the real problem here is that we are trying to compare a Darshan Hiranandani with an Adani who, as anyone who's watching the stock markets know, is zooming up in terms of valuation and is emerging billions stronger every hour. So I think to compare Darshan with him is a bit of a, like setting up a straw man to attack. Darshan is a friend of Mahua's who was providing secretarial services, and perhaps because of that, because he is in similar lines of business in some cases, he was able to do research for Mahua on the Adani subject. Now, I agree with those who say that you cannot be a single subject person and create a brand around one battle if you want to be anyone significant in parliament. Number two, her personal credibility cannot be linked to one battle. It has to have more elements, and that is something that's missing. Number three, the fact that much of it is, I would say, unfortunately, in the realm of pillow talk versus other talk, and the allegations that have been flying fast and furious are to do with everything of Mahua's life outside of her questioning in parliament. And number four, I think that everyone agrees so far on this panel that there is a certain process and a due process which needs to be followed. Whatever the crime, you need to have made sure that that crime, if there was a crime, and I think there is a fundamental flaw in Mahua's behavior in doing this, of giving it to a friend who was a corporate interest of some kind, small or big. And that was the fatal flaw.
Okay, that's four sharp points for us to discuss. Jaya Jetli, before Sushmita Dev comes in, do you want to come in on that? Of course, the Ethics Committee also cited a similar example that had taken place on the Congress watch. And it says that 10 members were expelled from the membership of the Lok Sabha on 23rd December 2005 in a record time of 23 days. So, of course, the shoe is now on the other foot. But it is also important for us to mention this example that has been cited. But go ahead, Ms. Jetli.
Well, I think basically the point is that if there is any admitting of cash, it does become a quid pro quo. If there is...
She hasn't admitted cash. She's admitted gifts.
Well, I don't know. Earlier it was mentioned that she had admitted to all these things. But whether it's
not
a
cash.
gift...
Never cash. Never cash. So far, I've seen no admission.
Look, I think it's a very kind of a specious thing to go around the thing of cash by saying you could have a 40 lakh car, but you may only take 2 lakhs. But if you take a fat car, then it is translation of money into materials. But that is not a question of legal thing that has to be done separately. That's why I do feel, as an earlier speaker said, that the hammer has banged rather hard. There should have been a proper inquiry by the CBI or somebody, and I said that in the last program also, that this has to go on longer. If she could have easily been suspended, at least up to the next election, let her answer all these questions. A suspension keeps her as quiet in parliament as it would be.
What do you make of her response to it? Both going into parliament and coming out. You were not a fan of that, you said.
Going into parliament and coming out? What did you mean?
When she spoke entering parliament today, she's referenced Ma Durga, when
well,
she came
there
out.
Again, it was
Yes.
drama. It was pure drama, just to create a big hype and a scene. It was like a movie star acting a role. It was not anything else, because also all the questions that she's been answering, that, what is wrong? I don't ask questions. I only speak in 0 hour, or I do Twitter. Do people go into lifetime politics that depend on Twitter? There have been thousands of brilliant politicians who never had Twitter, who knew how to make a speech, who study issues, learn statistics, sit at the library. If she can't do all that after the high education she claims, she is a superficial person. And I don't think somebody like that can create such a drama and think she can sway the whole country with her.
Sushmita, yeah, Piketty, just a second. I'll just give Sushmita Dev a response and then I'll come to you. Sushmita, do go ahead.
See, first of all, I don't think she's hoping to sway the whole country with her. She's speaking her mind on what she believes is her truth. And even a criminal justice system says an accused is innocent until proven guilty. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt. And when a public personality speaks before going into parliament, or how she chooses to do her politics, is partly her choice, and leave it to her voters to decide whether she's done a good job of it or no. And 2024 will speak. People of her constituency in Bengal will speak. Another thing is, Barkha, more importantly, is when one keeps saying it's a question of national security, means it's a very big word and it sounds very heavily loaded on every debate. But most of the information that is accessible through the portal, and when you put in your questions, it gives you no access to national security and national secrets. So let's put that aside. And
I mean, the panel, Sushmita, the panel said that bills were shared that were not yet in public domain. That's one of the things they've said.
No, that is not true. That is absolutely not true. The portal and the login and the password that you use is to bung in the questions, which otherwise you have to do physically. And yes, a bill is a secret document. It is generally first introduced in parliament, and before it's introduced, no one can read it. Okay, there was a time when bills came in envelopes and they were thrown into your main door, and anybody could pull it out and read it. So it's a very nuanced thing to argue. But I think what we need to understand is that obviously on issues like this, there are going to be two sides, and everybody is entitled to their opinion. But as far as we are concerned, that there is no quid pro quo. And I think you have to give Mahua some credit for saying it right from the start, that yes, I used my login and password, and yes, he did it 47 times, and yes, I took a Bobby Brown lipstick or whatever. But to say she took that lipstick and that Hermes scarf to ask a question and to help Hiranandani against Adani, I'm sorry, that's
okay.
Very biased against her. That's what I think.
Okay, Piketty and then Rahul, and then we'll come to you, Mr. Bhamla. Piketty, go ahead.
See, that's the truth. We are all talking about, we are all trying to correlate something which she has done, and with it is her choice or her choice of life and etc. Sorry, you are a public figure. You have a privilege which the Parliament of India had given it to you. You cannot misuse that privilege, whether it is your friend, whether it is your relative, doesn't matter. How does it matter? You have your privilege. You should be protecting that privilege in full spirit. Otherwise, you are definitely not a good person to be eligible person to sit in that parliament. I would say this decision of expelling her has taken a little extra time than it should have been, because the three characters who were a part of this whole story, Darshan Hiranandani, he is admitted in writing what he had given and what he has done, how he has operated her this thing, and then her ex, who has taken up this issue and in a proper manner to all across. So it is not like a Nishant Dubey who has come up with this whole story and created this whole thing. I think if she was not able to control her ex, if she was not able to control her so-called friend who have been buying lipstick for her, so I think let's grow up, man. I think enough Modi hatred is enough. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकता किसी को. Only because of you hate and you just jump up you have some good fluent English,
Okay.
so you are the best communicator, you can do everything. I think that's over.
Okay.
And the brand
Okay.
of MoHUA today seems to be a ill-mannered, or somebody whom many public don't wanted to see. Maybe some of her fan boys may be able to stand by her, but otherwise, people like I cannot stand by her.
Okay. Fan boys and fan girls and opponents. Let's not genderize this debate. It's important to say that. But you believe that brand is dented today. That's the important essence that PKD you're trying to make. I want to bring in Rahul. Asif Bhamla, just 1 minute. Oh, we lost Rahul. Did we lose Rahul there? Okay, Asif Bhamla, go ahead. Asif Bhamla, go ahead.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Rahul. I couldn't see you. I'm so sorry for a second. Mr. Bhamla, 1 second. I had a question for Rahul. Rahul, if you want to come in on this comparison. You see, it's very interesting in politics. What goes around comes around. So the 2005 example is being cited when 10 members of parliament were in fact similarly treated after a Cobra Post sting operation. And that time LK Advani had called it a kangaroo court proceeding. Today MoHUA Moitra has used the exact phrase. So if you observe politics long enough, it's like a revolving door. But go ahead.
It is. I think firstly, I would like to say that had it been a Congress MP in the dock, at least I, for one, would have said and done the same things. I would have reacted the same manner. Right? So it doesn't matter whether she belongs to opposition or to the ruling party. That should not be the issue here. The issue is her conduct, her nature. The kind of person she is, whether one can stand her or not stand her, is completely immaterial to this debate either. Again, right. I don't think things like this should need to be said. I think there is more to the case, more to this whole episode that meets the eye, and it calls for a deeper, wider investigation. Without that investigation, which answers all the questions arising out of this episode, this express and the last punishment is overdone. It is not called for. As it happened in the earlier, the 10 MPs case also, these are serious questions, and unless mala fide intention is proved, mala fide has to be proven, right, according to law. That, unless that is done, then mere speculation or mere the possibility of misuse, mere possibility of it could have been had ramifications for national security, could have foreign agencies could have used it. These are speculative arguments. There should not be a material issue and a material basis on the basis of which such a punishment is meted out. So I think this is completely disproportionate to the episode and what she has done. She does need punishment, yes.
She does need?
She did need to be punished, because what she has done, irrespective of everything, is a serious mistake. It's a mistake, not a crime, for God's sake.
That's an important distinction. I think that's a very important distinction. Mr. Bhamla, what was the raging hurry? Also, what is the meaning of an expulsion in the last sort of few months of a parliament? You know, you're going to have the budget session in parliament and then it's elections. So what is actually tried to, I have a hunch, and, Dilip will, I'm sure, add to this. I have a hunch that the real action is going to take place outside of parliament. This expulsion is probably only the beginning. Because what does an expulsion mean? Parliament will be over in a few months. This house.
Let me sum up this in Hindi. कि महुआ का निष्कासन जो है, ये सबके लिए एक सबक है. It's the parliament is a temple of democracy. You have to be, and parliamentarians have to be more responsible. I would say that with my party, the Bharatiya Janata Party MPs as well. This is also a lesson for our own member parliaments of your own conduct. You see, when you are a parliamentarian, you're elected, there are a lot of expectations from the people of the country, from the rules and ethos of the parliament also by and large. And if you take all of that for granted, and if
okay, but what was the hurry? What was the hurry?
And if you become a drama queen, maybe you try to compete with the Kangana Ranaut or something. So this is not a glamour world. She must have gained some brownie points today outside the parliament. But let me tell you, her conduct has definitely scaled down the performances, the authenticity of a lot of other members. You see, now tell me, there were 10 other suspended members. There were 10 members suspended also like this in the past. So these are things,
but in this house, your party colleague Ramesh Biduri has not been acted against after making a communal speech from the floor of the house for which the party itself gave him notice.
No. Of course, that is an issue which we will obviously deal it when it comes to it. Now, today we're talking about this, but definitely, let me tell you, this also involves the question of a quid pro quo. And not only this, you see, she was given sufficient chance to exhibit things in front of the ethics committee. She could have very well put it across. Her conduct there also was very irrelevant. You see,